Hey guys, welcome to Finals Review Week. I've got a couple videos here just to remind you how to do some stuff, and then the rest of the period you guys can use just to work and practice the multiple choice. So this is a video on solving stuff. So lots of different types of equations and inequalities and practicing solving. So first of all, basic linear equations. I would say most of you would distribute here. So you would get 4x minus 5 equals 1x plus 4 if you distribute. And then you want to draw the wall, get all the x's to one side and all the constants to the other side. So if we minus the x over, we now have 3x minus 5 equals 4. And if the x's are on the left, then the constants need to move to the right. And we end up with 3x equals 9, and then divide by 3, so x equals 3. Okay, so that's just solving linear equations. They could be easier, they could be harder. That's kind of a medium one. All right, now we jump into inequalities, which is the same thing. So we distribute. 9x plus 6 is less than or equal to 6x plus 21. And then, like I said, same thing. Let's get all the x's to one side, all the constants to the other. So if we minus the 6x over, we have 3x plus 6 is less than or equal to 21. And then minus the 6 to the other side, and we get 3x is less than or equal to 15. And then divide both sides by 3. X is going to be less than or equal to 5. Now with inequalities, just don't forget if you multiply or divide by a negative, you got to flip the symbol. And then graphing, this would be a closed circle at -5 and arrow goes left. Okay, on to absolute value. This is where when you have the two bars, you isolate and then set up two equations. So to isolate, we got to add the 5 over first. So then we're at 3 times absolute value of 2x minus 7 equals 9. And then no distributing into absolute value, so we have to divide both sides by 3. And now we're isolated. 2x minus 7 equals 3. And then once you're isolated, 2 bars means 2 equations. One of them is going to equal positive 3. One of them is going to equal negative 3. And that's how you get your 2 answers. So if we add 7, divide by 2, we get x equals 5. And if we add 7, I'll write this in steps, we get 2x equals 4. Divide by 2, x equals 2. So here's your 2 answers. Okay, moving on. Absolute value inequality, you isolate first and then set up an and or an or. So to isolate first, we minus the 5 and get -3. Absolute value of 2x minus 7 is less than or equal to -9. And then divide both sides by -3. Those cancel. We get 2x minus 7 is, we divide it by a negative, so we switch the symbol and we get 3. Okay, if it's isolated and it's greater than, it's greater, so we set up an or. Now one of them is going to stay the positive 3, but the other one, we're going to flip the symbol and make it -3. Let me slide this over a little. Okay, if we add 7 and divide by 2, we get x is greater than or equal to 5. If we add 7 and divide by 2, we get x is less than or equal to 2. So this is your or. And then if you were to graph, they would go out to the sides. Okay, and then way back we did something called proportions where you cross multiply if you have a fraction equals a fraction. Okay, so this one, you got to be careful that you remember to distribute. It's 3 times x minus 3 times 4, so 3x minus 12. And then this one is just 9 times x. Okay, and then you just solve like normal. So let's get all the x's to one side. I'm going to subtract this guy over. And then we're at negative 12 equals 6x. So then we would have to divide by 6, both sides. And if you divide that, it looks like x is going to be negative 2. Okay, so that's proportions. And then this one, you know what? Since we already did an or, I'm going to turn this into an and. Let's do 2x minus 3 is less than 9, but less than or equal to 5. Just to do a different type. All right, so how do you solve an and sandwich? So go ahead and write that. And let's solve what's on the inside. So add 3 to every single section. We have 8 less than or equal to 2x less than 12. And then divide by 2 to every single section. And we have 4 less than or equal to x less than 6. And then remember, an and is the inside. So close circle at 4, open circle at 6, and it's all the stuff in between. Okay, so that was a video just on all the things we know how to solve. Thanks for watching.